Welcome to This Explainer. Let's just dive right in, because today we are unpacking a really critical, frankly fascinating question. Is the traditional four-year university model heading for a brutal, historic transformation? I mean, when you look at the shifting demographics, skyrocketing costs, and how AI is completely redefining how we learn and work, something has to give, right? So we're going to look strictly at the data to figure out exactly what is happening to the American college system. To really grasp the sheer scale of this issue, we have to start with one mind-boggling number: $1.7 trillion. Yeah, trillion with a T. That is the total collective student loan debt right now in the United States. To put that in perspective, that is larger than the GDP of a lot of developed nations. It averages out to about $45,000 in debt per graduate. Now, for decades, taking on that kind of debt was just seen as, the standard price of admission into the middle class. But as we'll see, that calculation is changing fast. So how on earth did we get to 1.7 trillion? Well, try 440%. That is the explosive jump in college tuition and fees just from the 1990s to the 2010s. The cost of a U.S. college education has vastly, and I mean vastly, outpaced wage growth for the average worker. It's essentially become this massive systemic inflation in price. Which brings us directly to the big, looming question of this explainer. With costs completely out of control, the value of a degree slipping, and AI stepping in to offer instant knowledge, is the traditional four-year college model facing a brutal transformation? Can the university survive in its current form? Well, let's let the evidence guide us. Section 1. The higher education bubble. Okay, so let's talk about how this bubble actually formed. Have you ever heard of the Bennett hypothesis? It's basically this theory suggesting that government-backed student loans actually created a massive moral hazard. Because students suddenly had access to all this easy credit, universities realized they could just keep hiking tuition and demand wouldn't drop. And instead of investing all that extra cash into better teaching, it often fueled a really broken business model. We're talking massive administrative bloat, luxury campus amenities, and a literal arms race for student dollars. So you have to ask, what are students actually getting for that inflated price today? Well, data from the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis shows a really stark generational divide. For folks born before 1980, getting a degree provided strong wealth and income premiums. But for those born after 1980, millennials and Gen Z, that wealth premium has essentially collapsed to near zero. It's wild. The rising cost of actually going to college has essentially eaten away the financial advantage that a degree used to guarantee. Section 2. The demographic enrollment cliff. Now, let's look at the customer base, the students. Because of declining U.S. birth rates that started years ago, the data is tracking an 8% smaller cohort of students currently moving up through the school system. What does that mean for higher ed? It means that starting in the fall of 2026, colleges are going to hit a demographic wall, a massive drop in incoming freshman classes. And this isn't just a one-year blip. Enrollment is projected to remain depressed until at least 2033. And frankly, saturated online programs just cannot fill a gap that big. Section 3. Which colleges will survive? When that enrollment cliff hits, the impact is not going to be evenly distributed. There's a stark contrast between who is at risk and who is safe. The most vulnerable institutions? Small, private, nonprofit liberal arts colleges. They usually have under 1,500 students, tiny endowments, and rely almost entirely on tuition. We've actually already seen closures of historic campuses like the College of St. Rose in New York. On the flip side, the elite, highly selective universities, they'll be fine. Same goes for massive state-backed public systems like SUNY or CUNY, which have the government's safety net to weather the storm. For those at-risk schools, the reality is pretty brutal. It literally comes down to a choice between merger or extinction. A lot of struggling colleges are actively scrambling to merge with larger, wealthier institutions just to keep the lights on, like we saw with Marymount Manhattan merging into Northeastern. And if a school does go under, accreditors enforce what's called a teach-out mandate. Basically, the dying college is legally forced to arrange a direct pathway for their abandoned students to finish their degrees somewhere else. Section 4. Degree inflation and underemployment. All of this brings us to credential inflation. Producing more and more college graduates has led to a fierce arms race in the job market. Employers started demanding degrees for jobs that literally never used to require them. The degree morphed into what economists call a Veblen good, an incredibly expensive marker of status that you are basically forced to buy just to get your resume looked at. It creates this vicious cycle where degrees become less valuable in practice, but remain frustratingly necessary just to get a foot in the door. And the fallout of that arms race is honestly staggering. according to a Burning Glass Institute analysis, 45% of college graduates are currently underemployed. Let that sink in. Nearly half of all grads are working in jobs that do not even utilize their degrees. Sure, they might earn slightly more than someone with just a high school diploma, but when you factor in that $45,000 of student debt we talked about earlier, the financial picture gets incredibly murky. Section 5, Rise of Skills-Based Hiring. But here's where things are starting to shift. Over 50% of Fortune 500 companies are now actively eliminating degree requirements for certain positions. Employers are increasingly seeking practical, demonstrable abilities over traditional academic credentials. Especially as AI continues to automate entry-level knowledge work, companies care a whole lot less about a 4-year piece of paper and way more about a portfolio showing what you can actually do on day one. Section 6, the future hybrid education model. So if traditional 4-year models are under fire, what's stepping up to replace them? We are seeing some incredible innovation in fast-paced, debt-free alternative pathways that give us a hint at what education might look like by, say, 2035. We're talking 3 to 6 month intensive boot camps utilizing income share agreements. We're seeing a massive resurgence in paid apprenticeships, where you literally earn while you learn with zero debt, especially in tech and healthcare. And of course, highly valued, industry-recognized technical certifications that provide immediate ROI. Now, I want to be super clear here, and the data absolutely backs this up. College is not dead. It still offers an aggregate 75% lifetime earnings premium. But you have to be smart about where it makes sense. It makes total sense for credential-dependent fields. Think medicine, law, engineering, and high ROI STEM careers. It also makes a ton of sense if you use zero-debt pathways like community college. What is highly vulnerable, however, is taking on massive debt for expensive general humanities degrees or entering fields that don't legally or practically require a credential at all. All of this points toward what experts are calling the hybrid approach. The future is likely going to be a synthesis. Step 1, a core foundational education, maybe obtained affordably, or even accelerated by highly personalized AI tutors that customize your learning. Step 2, targeted, intensive skills bootcamps to get you totally job ready. And step 3, continuous lifelong learning. Because let's face it, in an economy moving this fast with AI, a one-time degree from when you were 22 simply isn't going to carry you through a 40-year career. Which leaves us with this final, frankly, massive question. If 45% of grads are underemployed, if the wealth premium has essentially vanished for younger generations, if AI can act as an instant tutor, and if employers really just want to test what you can actually do, what exactly are students paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for? It's a question that every single institution, employer, and prospective student is going to have to answer as we crash head-on into the 2026 reckoning.